What is the difference between new players and veteran players in Warframe? Everyone got your answers ready in the comments? Let's compare. I personally believe that there are three main differences in skill, knowledge, and last and perhaps most importantly, mods. If the game's combat system is Warframe's bones, then the modding system is the game's lifeblood, always in the background in every footage you see. Largely unpraised, but always present and essential. In this video, I aim to take a closer look at the modding system, the do's and don'ts, things to watch out for, and a few tricks to help you reach the point of easily completing a mission like a true Warframe ninja. Now then, before we get into the meat of things, let's cover a few of the basics, which can easily be done by accessing the codex which is over here on the console, going to training, and over here you will have the tutorials. Now for this video specifically, the ones that interest us the most are the upgrades and mods, as well as the damage tutorials. The rest is quite secondary and will be explained either by other people or in later videos. You can pause if you would like to read, or simply go to your own game and read them at your leisure. But this is one of the panels which I wanted to show. This explains most of the mod's basic functions and characteristics. And this is where I'll have to explain a little bit. Most mods, as you can see here, will have 4 ranks, part of 5 ranks, while there will be a few rare ones which will have either 3 ranks, such as the orphaned mods, which are Warframe specific or weapon specific, or a few other mods which will have either 8 ranks, which are called real mods, or 10 ranks, which are either the legendary mods, or some of the more base and essential mods you will see in the game, such as damage, health, armor, shields, and so on. Now that we are done with that, there are a few things I would like to mention. As you will probably notice at some point, there are mods with different costs. Some of them 10 ranks, some of them 3 ranks, as well as a few others which are 8 ranks, and so on and so forth. The rarity as well as the number of ranks determines the cost to get a mod to a max rank. For example, a bronze mod will only take about this much for a 5 rank one. Meanwhile, a golden one will take this much. Even though it only has 3 ranks, it's almost the same. Another one, which is gold, will take quite a lot more, as you can see. And one that has 10 ranks, such as Enhanced Vitality, for example. Now, as you can see, each time you upgrade it more, the cost will double from the previous one. So as you can notice, we'll reach an impressive amount over here, which most new players won't even dream of. But as you go and progress through the game, it will become increasingly easier to acquire both credits as well as the resource for upgrading mods, that is Endo. Now, for new players, I would recommend sticking to a few of the basics, such as shields. Excuse me. More specifically, the redirection mod. There we go. Here it is. And for mods like this, which have 10 ranks, my recommendation would be to get them to 5 ranks, not 6 like how other people recommend it. 5 is enough to get a good chunk of it here. effect it can have. And then continue upgrading a few of the others. Now, in light of the recent changes, my recommendation would be to first upgrade the warframe mods for shields, health, and armor in this order. And afterwards, for the weapons, pick whichever weapon class you like the most, upgrade the damage to 5 ranks, and you can take it on from there depending on what you want/need. But that would be the focus for a beginning player. And quite honestly, I wish I would have known that from the start when I started all those years ago. That said, even if you do choose something else, it's not that big of a problem, but it will be a bit longer journey for you. Moving on. Now that we have a bit more of a base idea of what mods are, we will use our test subject over here, Mr. Loki, and we will have a look. Now, you may have noticed that your warframe gains ranks over missions. Affinity in the game is EXP, so if you ever see that pop up in the game, note that that is in fact experience you are gaining, even though it is called affinity. And as you can see, at rank 30, this is the max level for most items. There are a few which can go past 30, but those are much later in the game. Those are literally the end game content currently. And none of the warframes, to my knowledge, can actually go past rank 30, so assume rank 30 is the max for now. Now, one of the tips that you were given is use auto-install. Now, as you can see, it isn't horrible for a new beginner. However, the thing with auto-install is that it will always prioritize a few certain things, such as health, shields, and sometimes armor, but mostly it will go for the health and the shields on a warframe. And on a weapon, such as 10k1 bow, it will go for damage, more damage, more damage. I'm not even sure why it added this one, and usually a stance or an aura. This is very, very bad. You could take off this, and maybe this, and it would basically be almost the same. And just adding one of these would make it far superior to what was before in the build. Due to this, we will discuss a bit the mods. Now, the categories are self-explanatory over here. You have the auras, the augments, which are warframe specific. As you can see, it even tells you for which warframe they are. The Exilus, which can fit in the slot over here. Also, I should probably mention, auras, unlike other mods, which take away from the capacity that is over here, auras actually add to the capacity. As you can see, it increased. Depending on the polarity, the increase will be lower than what is shown over here, or higher, more specifically double than what is shown over here. Now, for a new player, my recommendation, as I've said, would be some vitality. You don't necessarily need a rank 10 one, let's be honest here. Even a rank 1 will be a vast improvement. As you can see, going from 225 to 255. Then you go for shields. Also, get used to using the search function, which is over here. If you know the name of the mod, you can just search it over here. If not, you can just search for the stat it gives and you will find it. For example, if I want armor, I just type armor. And I'll see all of the mods which have something to do with armor. Do notice, however, that it may also simply appear in the name of the mod somewhere. Some way. For example, Steel Charge has basically nothing to do with actual armor, and yet it still appeared over here. All the others are fine. They either reduce armor, increase armor, give armor to something else. You get the general idea. And you may be asking, okay, so I know what mods are. I have somewhat of an idea where to get them. They randomly drop from enemies. What do I do if I want to find a specific mod? Well, the answer is quite simple. You go to the codex, you have the universe over here, and you have the mod tab here. Now, if you were to type, let's see, damage, you would be given all of the damage mods. However, do note that there are some mods which you will probably, you will not have all of the mods over here. For example, there are many which are with question marks. I don't know what they do. The game doesn't tell you. I do, however, know their name, and I can use the wiki to check them out if I want them, need them, or so on and so forth. Also, over here, it will also show me where or what is the relation of the mod and its drop location. For example, Gale Kick, I can see it drops from these enemies. Kravats Grace from these ones. Anchor Glide. Now here, New Loci and Red Rail are syndicates. So you can go over here, you can join them. You can max all of them, but I would recommend either going with these three that I have over here, or the other three, and just keeping a constant between them, or swapping all three of them out until you have everything from them. But that's already much later, more into the mid-game. It's good to start early, don't get me wrong, but it's not necessarily the first thing you should concern yourselves with. So I think that covers the very basics of modding. Let's get into a bit more interesting stuff, shall we? Now then, I have relocated us to the new simulacrum room for the purposes of this demonstration. The mods I will be using number no more than 8 total mods, as well as weapons with 1 weapon per frame. This is to show the inherent fact that most people are actually overbuilding on one singular stat archetype, like damage, crit chance, and so on. And in reality, you really don't need all that much. As you can see, this is the maximum level of enemies that I can. Never mind, we are going even higher. Okay, I forgot I ranked up. So, this is the level of enemies we will be fighting, and we're going against corrupted bombards, which are known for being not easy to kill. Also, at this level, you will never see them currently, at least in the game, without going on very long endless runs. So, let's see how I fare against this. Remember, there are 2 mods on my Excalibur, 6 mods, none of which are prime, on my Heat Sword. Also, the Heat Sword can be obtained by using the code FreeSword. I tried to iframe that, didn't quite work out. As you can see, enemies of... okay, I'm leaving that in. I don't care. I'm leaving that in. I've gotten to too many retakes for this, but I'm leaving that one in. As you can see, the enemy's level, while vastly higher than what is currently on the map, and normally accessible for the vast majority of players, doesn't require as many things as most people believe. As you can see, all of these are fairly easy to obtain. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even use this one. My bad, wrong weapon. That's for the next demonstration. As you can see, all of these are fairly easy to obtain. I do believe this is from a spy vault on Earth, no less. So, again, easy to obtain. And for the Excalibur, a streamline and a continuity. Honestly, I'm pretty sure I can also drop the streamline and achieve the same effect. So even lower, because all I needed was the duration. Let's see. I'll need 1, 2, 3, Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can do it without the streamline also. So just the continuity, which I do believe can drop from the first boss on Earth. So, you know, for the best results though, do check the codex. The information on the drops are over there. You know the name, go over there. So that's example number 1. Let's go to example number 2. Now, here is where I'll be using the Sakura Penta. And I would like you to notice the number over here, which is the explosion damage. And this one, which is the actual grenade impacting damage. I will not be using the explosion at all in this demonstration. And I'll only cast an ability once. In case anyone has no idea what the heck happened over there, because these are the grenades, I haven't detonated them, as was clearly proven. This is mostly game knowledge at its finest. Only 2 range abilities so that it can cover the area. I would have otherwise needed 2 casts, so I can probably also take this all, but I'm not going to do it now. The point is, if you wanted a build that can kill high level enemies, all you really need is these 2 and this. So the question becomes, where do you go from here? You have the damage and the range. What do you want on a build? And I guess that's the real question now, isn't it? The entire issue with most of the builds going around, as well as what people come up with, is that they are very single-minded. They see 1, maybe 2 abilities on a frame and they just go all the way over it. For example, you would hear people say, oh, it's a magnetized build, the ability I used on mag. I need more range. And they probably add this one as well, which can honestly replace the stretch. They will also go with this and this. Of course, I don't actually have a potato on my normal mag, so you get the general idea. People would just go too far in one direction. Let me see if I can fix this. Yep, I can. So, what would actually be preferable here? If you're planning on using the magnetize for the base build I have here, you probably want to use it a lot more, correct? So we would probably add some efficiency with the streamline. If we add a bit more duration, we could probably swap it out for expertise as well. And from then on, you basically have the build itself. Now, the choices begin here. Once you have maximized the ability to the practical level, because you can always put more damage, but it doesn't really help the ability that much. This isn't the sort of ability it is. It's one of the few abilities that actually synergize a lot more, as I've previously shown, with weapons. For example, the Penta, as you can see, launches this little grenade, which on its own, it's... I'm just going to pause this AI for a bit because I don't want to explode. On its own, this is all that you get out of it. This damage right here is what killed all of these with a combination of an ability that deals 0 damage. This is because the way that the magnetize functions is that it doesn't allow bullets to leave this space. So the result is that it will just infinitely travel between all of them resulting in the stupid amount of numbers you see there, and about half of them dying from one bullet. You can even see the actual bullets right here, traveling at very fast speeds. Knowledge of how things work is probably what will carry you throughout the game far more than anything else. Another good example, and this is an example of people failing to mod properly, is on Zephyr. Actually, wait, don't want to run the builds on my good Zephyr. There we go. Now the mod in question is narrow-minded, one of the most used mods to gain duration, while sacrificing a bit of range. The issue is that most people don't realize is that Zephyr's only defensive ability, like fully defensive, Turbulence, despite what it says on the ability, and what some may assume, it really is redirecting the bullets, even the hit scan weapons of the enemies. What this means is that with insufficient range, the bullet will not be deflected, or will be deflected too little, resulting in you getting hit even by the basic enemy bullets, never mind the bombards and everything else. So if I was to add this, you will notice that the amount that I can deflect is approximately none. Okay. Oh, never mind. It's actually a bit more than I expected. The problem with that is that I can still be hit, as you have clearly seen just now, depending on the angle. Okay, you're a bit overzealous. Now moving to my actually full-on build, we have a few specialized mods, because it tends to stay in the air, so this will grant me a lot of damage reduction. We have duration for the most of the skills. And here is where we begin to go into the interesting side of things. The Prime Flow is there to maintain energy. Hunter Adrenaline because Zephyr has a pretty good health pool, along with Prime Vigor. Probably change that for a bit of armor, I think it was. I'll have to make a bit of research into that. Aero Vantage. This is of course to work in tandem with Zephyr's passive of levitating into the air. Moto Signal, again, a lot of airtime related mods. The Fast Deflection to recharge the shield and regain the shield gating ability faster. And the Turbulence for augment, simply to move a bit faster and work nicely with a few other weapons. Now, here where I do actually have some modicum of range, as you can see, yeah, they're not going to hit me in like a million years. This is the normal 100% range, by the way. I can just sit here for as long as the ability is active, and nothing will happen to me. That said, melee damage will still go to Turbulence. It's just one of those things where you have to remember what you are and what do you have. Also, the enemies do tend to get somewhat lucky every now and then, and they'll do something smart like aim at my feet. And the result of that will be the rocket going into the ground and blowing me up. There we go. There are many such examples that I can show you. Another one would be Nidus and the way efficiency functions with him. Now, Nidus' first ability gives energy depending on his efficiency. However, the lower his efficiency, the more energy he restores. The result, it's actually beneficial to run negative efficiency on Nidus. Currently the only frame that works that way. Due to that, there are literally no downsides, none, to running Blind Rage, one of the more, maybe I'll use it, maybe I won't mod, depending on how you manage your energy. These are just some of the few examples that I've shown you. And there are many more. Like, I could stand here all day, either in this room or in an actual mission, and blabber on about how different interactions work. The best way is to test them, and to remember that once you have achieved a goal, it's always nice to have a plan B. If you have achieved the goal of killing the enemy, the purpose of these two mods specifically, maybe you want to add a bit more damage to your weapons. Maybe you want to have a way to regenerate your energy. You will need to resist damage, add a bit more duration. All of these are supposed to work in union. All of these mods are supposed to achieve a greater goal than the single parts. Yet I find it quite interesting that most people will simply dump all of the damage they can, and the results are, well, let me give an example. And this is probably the easiest one I can give, pure damage. Let's add serration, and most people will probably add a heavy caliber. As you can see, here is the total damage. Let me just do a small refresh. There we go. This is the total damage with 2 damage mods. And you might be thinking, well, this is a 90%, why would I add it? Let's just assume that all the others, for the purpose of the video, are full. Well, here is where things get interesting. The difference between additive and multiplicative. Additive means they get added together and then get applied to the rest. Multiplicative means they are taken as their own thing and just get added on top of everything else. If you only add one mod, of course it's considered multiplicative to everything else it has. For example, split chamber 0.9 over here, of the total that it is over here. The reason why this one, which has a higher number, is not actually increasing the damage by more, is due to the fact that it is the same number, the same type, as serration. Adding infected clip, again, a similar result, simply because it is a different stat. Now, these are probably where it gets interesting, because you can add status effects, and depending on the effect you want, sometimes it's better to sacrifice the pure damage version for the status effect that you want. Viral is a good example currently, as it's quite powerful, and it multiplies in damage the more you activate its status effect. So even if you have something small damage-wise, it can go quite large if the status chance is good. I do believe I've covered most of the things I wanted to tell about. I'm quite sure I've missed some, especially since I'm, well,
You are here to find a target and bring them to the extraction point. Happy hunting. Target located. Bring them in.